Hello, Eunice Adubango in my space. Welcome to my space, and I'm coming to you live from Toddler's Gold. The people that have been hosting me for the last so many weeks, I'm almost done with Toddler's Gold here. And if you want to welcome me to your space, just give me a buzz and we will work out something, and I will come to your space and we will talk through. Today, I want to talk to us about a very thorny issue. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Christmas is coming, and that great trek to the village is about to come. Yeah, that thorny issue of going to the village for Christmas, it is already beginning to make some people sweaty in their hands. They're already beginning to think, oh my God, I don't like those people. They're already beginning to cry. You're already discussing your families in your WhatsApp groups. You're already looking for people to help you out. You're praying about it. You don't even know what you're praying. You're not looking forward. Some people are already sad. Some people are thinking about last year, and they are thinking, Lord, 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 take this cup of suffering away from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. It's a thorny issue. I will tell you two stories about Christmas. That one is personal and one is something that challenged me and still challenges me because I still suffer with it and I'm thinking so deeply about it. I maybe start with that one. It's very short. And then the other one is how Christmas died in my home, not my home where Eunice stays, but my parents' home. The death of Christmas in the village. And then we will draw some learning points from scripture, and then I will arm those of you who must go to the village for Christmas and you're not looking forward to it. Let us work out ways and let us see how we are going to make this happen. But this one also is a conversation that would be good for you to sit in with your spouse so that you both listen to these things, and maybe this will be the conversation starter in your home so that you discuss this elephant in the room so that you have a better and a more joyous Christmas this year, because 'tis the season to be jolly. La, 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 la. It's supposed to be a jolly season. So may we have a beautiful, jolly Christmas. So one time someone in my church lost a wife. And then he made a speech. And this is the part of the speech that I will never forget. He said this about his wife. He said, you see, so many people seated in this congregation will not be able to recognize where they were buried when they rise up from the dead. Ouch. Like on the resurrection day, you resurrect and you're like, this is where I was buried? I was buried among these people? Oh my God. He made that statement about his wife and he said, but my wife will recognize her place, the place where we laid her to rest, because she took on my people as her people, and therefore she knows the place where we are going to bury her. That is still a thing that even me, I keep thinking about, where do I want to be buried? But that is something that should make us think about the wars that we fight in our families because of Christmas. We don't want to go there. We don't want to know. We are feeling pained. Oh my God, I went there. I had to cook. I had to this. And the one who feels like the victim has their pain, but the one who feels that like the villain is also rubbing it in. Of course, there are men who in the city, the wife has never known that they shower hot water. When they get to their ancestral homes, anabagocha. And everyone is wondering, who are you? When we left Kampala, we thought we know who you are. There is also those things. The things we put up and the facades we put on when we go to the villages, sometimes are the reasons why our spouses are not enjoying this season. But this is going to be a very thorny discussion, but I want to delve into it and I will talk about every side. How did Christmas die in our home? I don't mean the Adubango home, but the home where I was born. So this is how Christmas used to happen. I mean, you got married and you knew, hey, aren't you the one who said your people will be my people? Hey, your God will be my God? So you got married and you knew we are going to go home for Christmas. The person doesn't even think about the fact that even you were born, so that at least one Christmas we can say, let's go the other side. That is an issue of another day. But you just know, point blank, this is something out of discussion. We always go to the home for Christmas. So let me tell you how Christmas died in our home. And I'm not talking about the Adubango home. I'm talking about the home where I was born. Of course, it doesn't mean like a total death where I say we don't celebrate Christmas. No. And that's also an issue that maybe I need to talk about here one day. Why some of us celebrate Christmas. Not really the day, but celebrate the birth of Jesus. But anyhow, long story short, the way things were in my parents' home is just like how you get married and you say, okay, your people will be my people, your gods will be my gods. So it goes without saying, we are going to go to my home for Christmas. So we started to go home for Christmas to my father's home. It was, for us as children, at first, we thought it was so good. We thought it was a breeze. We used to enjoy because the weight of the burden of caring for people over Christmas wasn't so much our weight. We could afford to run away and go with our cousins and go to the well and have all these beautiful experiences. But my mom, on the other hand, was always dying under the weight and the burden of the work over Christmas. I remember when we would arrive for Christmas, first of all, there was this thing of Abe Kampala Bazze. Abe Kampala Baibye. Abagaiga Batuse. And so most of the people in the village wanted to visit at our home during that time because it's their opportunity to eat bread, it is their opportunity to take milk tea, and they would visit as early as sometimes 7 a.m. So you've barely woken up and there are people saying Kodi. First of all the other homes in the homestead used not to cook during that time. So my mom would bear the burden of literally cooking for everyone. Of course, my father was buying all the food and everything, but the food has to be cooked. It's not just about buying the food. And this is something that the men should know. And so my mom would be in the kitchen almost the entire day. Kitchen on firewood. Meanwhile, she gets called out of the kitchen, she's crying, you know, this omuka, what? She gets back in. So she was always irritable all those days, and now that I'm an adult, I understand why my mom was always irritable. So she would cook and cook and cook. The last person basically to have breakfast would have it like at 1:30. So from 7 a.m. when she has woken up, she's doing rounds of tea. Okay, because dad is in the living room with the visitors and he just keeps shouting, Mama Eunice, hey, wanaba to say, you're fairing tea, you're fairing tea, you're fairing tea. First of all, I don't understand these people who come and sit there and sit the whole day. Okay, people come, people go, people come. There's always this person. For them, of course, they are playing loud music. My mother is in the kitchen. She is cooking. Sometimes she even cooks food and then they say, Mugende mu trading center munone bidala. So my dad would get into his car, get other things, bring them. My God, my mother cooked food. My mother cooked food mogwa muka. And then she serves lunch at 1:30. My friend, the last person to have lunch, quote unquote, has lunch like at 6. Then she starts evening tea. Then she serves this evening tea up to about 10 p.m. in the night. Then she brings supper. My mother broke her back the first year of marriage, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, fifth year. Now, because I think my parents gave birth to me in the second year of their marriage, so now I'm on board. My sisters came. One beautiful day, I think I was now 9 before. I think my mother had it. You know, there is that straw that kills the camel's back. I think the straw was there. I think my mother had contemplated for a long time, because in between that, there is looking for firewood. In between that, there is getting water. In between that, she would literally sleep when she's tired. And now that I'm married, I wonder what used to happen in that bed. But also it is Christmas, if you know what I mean. So I think she also had to give some. So you can imagine the body has worked the entire day, and the body is working at night, and the body is barely resting, and the body is waking up. My mother just woke up one beautiful day. We were all preparing to go for Christmas. Of course, for us, we are excited. We are going to see our cousins. And Mommy said, I'm not going. My father thought it's a joke. Mommy said, I'm not going. Itiri kuja, ndobi, ndemi. My father first complained, quarreled, what, threatened. My mother was like singing, I shall not be moved. She lay down in her bed. My father put us in the car, took us to the village. Of course, he had done the usual shopping. We get to the village, of course, Mommy is not there. Guess who took over the work of Mommy? Yours truly, with my other cousins who were my age mates. Bantumwe, we cooked food, twafumbe mmere. That is the day I respected my mother. You people, twafumbe mmere, twajifumba. Of course, in between, my mom is like, hey, this woman, you know women, she refused to come, which the food has to be cooked. The food has to be eaten. Remember, my sister who follows me is a bit way younger than me, so for them, they may not even relate to this story. Even me, when we went back, I realized that I had not yet matured into a woman. When that Christmas was done, when it was next time to go, we told our father that even as we are going to stay here with Mommy. My father went alone. Of course, he could not cook the food. So at lunchtime, he came back home. Even when we shifted about 3 hours from the village, the distance from our village to where we were settled was 3 hours. My father would wake up in the morning and drive all the way and go to pray from the other side, and he would be back home for lunch. Because, like I told you, the other homesteads were not cooking. I want to start by talking to the people who are taking their friends to the village. It's not a bad thing, and I'm not saying don't go to the village. Those of you who are taking your friends to the village, someone told me something recently that I want to tell you. I learned it from a friend in Sale, and this thing is true. Your wife is a muchala, yachala. Your wife is a visitor in the home. Although they are your wife, they are your wife. Like the Bible tells you to leave your home and cleave to your wife so that you form your own home. So as far as your home which you came from is concerned, abamuchala, yachala. That means you're the one who knows your people. She doesn't know her people. You're the one who knows their appetites. She doesn't know their appetites. You're the one who knows. And meanwhile, you know both ends. You know how much your wife can take, and you also know what the demands of the other people. Meaning, you, the husband who has taken the wife, this is the point when you rise up and you protect your wife. Protect your wife. Let not your wife work like a horse because you went to the village for Christmas and you want to show the whole family nti wafumbi wawasa wawasera omukazi amanyi nnyo okufumba. You see, I get problems with these people who even the food is almost ready and you drive to the trading center and you bring some more stuff. No leta yo mukene, no leta envendala abafe. Cooking food is hard. Men, I want to tell you, cooking food is hard. And remember, ono muchala, because they are a visitor, bagenda kumusoma emize, they are always going to say that she didn't cook the soup the right way. She is a visitor. Where she came from, they were not cooking food with a lot of water. They were cooking gravy. They were cooking muchuzi. Kati, when you take her to your village, first give her a pep talk. Please sit down and think about it. Ask your wife, you who thinks it was okay. Now that you're listening to this video, today you sit down with your spouse and ask them. Of course, dear spouse, when they ask you, it's not your time to shine at all. No. Be temperate, kakana. But you who thinks, by the way, my wife is enjoying it, it would be a good idea if you sat down with them this time before you go for Christmas and ask them that, in all honesty, are you enjoying this ride? Because these are your people. Although she agreed that your people will be her people, she's a muchala in that home. She doesn't know how your mother wants the mug to be put. Because Christmas is that time where the woman will be, I don't even know how they say that in English, where they will read her habits. She cooked food like this. She cooked soup like this. She did the other one like this. Banange ono ya chala. Okay? Ata agenda kubera muchala until she also brings bachala into her home. So point number 1, the first thing that I want you to think about is discuss with your person from the beginning. Discuss with your person from the beginning. Ask your spouse, how has it been? How has the experience been? And how can we work together to make the experience better? meet them halfway. Because I can imagine if my father probably was buying much more bread, or if he had bought a bigger saucepan or a bigger kettle and bought plenty of flasks, so that when my mother is cooking this tea, she wakes up and it's like, nafumba chai nga munjo mrundi yogu gumu. And then we pour that tea in the flasks and it is there. If maybe they had agreed with my father that when it comes to 10 a.m., chai to mungali, I will buy soda, it would have been more bearable. So that all of us know that we are going to ferry chai up to 10. But after 10, we are going to give people soda. That would have been bearable. So that obalirira muno, because the Bible has told you men that one of the things that God tells the man is to love your wife in the very sense as you love yourself. Tell you, even you who is listening to me, the man, there is nobody who is going to cook the whole day and enjoy it. There is no one who was created as a factory for food. So one of the things that you need to do is discuss. Talk about this thing and say, how has the experience been and how can we make it better? Because sometimes you're just concentrating on the fact of, saying, me, I think my wife, she just plainly hates my people. But you need to listen to yourself and you need to catch yourself. This person who woke up at 5 a.m. and cooked while washing dishes, cooked while washing dishes, cooked while washing dishes until 2 p.m. and then served food while washing dishes is not going to fail to be irritable, because the human body has a limit to which it can take. So that is one. Discuss with your spouse. If you are a person who is dating, you had better have this discussion earlier. So you need to discuss with your husband to be and say, how are things like in the village over Christmas? And when your husband tells you, you need to say, you know what, sweetheart, I really want to get into this, but either give me some tricks on how to do it or meet me halfway. Because like I have told you, I wish my father had met my mother halfway. Kwencha yaliwo twanditambulidde nga ab'omu kyalo kwencha, they would even be happier. You mubawa kwencha, you put something in the fridge, or you get some ice creams or something. Of course, ice creams kwencha labya nange nimba, in the village there are no ice creams, but you can get soda and you can serve them. That will preserve the life of your spouse. Matthew, the Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 7 verse 12 and in Luke 6:31, it is what they call the golden rule, that in everything do to others what you would have them do to you, because this sums up the law and the prophets. Dear children of God, both men and women, do to others during this Christmas season as you would have them do to you. Number one, there is no one who enjoys their relatives being rejected through and through and talked about in a bad way. Because for us women also, when we go home for Christmas, nafe tusomemize, banange his mother, he doesn't know how to cook. Banange, then the sisters, then they did this. Even the man does not enjoy that. Nobody wants that. But even you as a man, there is nobody who enjoys coming and they are washing up and cooking and running and what, and then they are being paraded. Everyone who comes, let my wife come, jangu makulabe, things like that. You need to talk through these things. So you need, those of you who have already been going to the village, just do some stock taking and ask the person how honestly it has been. The Bible tells us, gives us rules on how to talk to each other. If your person is toxic and you cannot talk with them, the Bible tells us, take another person with you. It is good for you to do this conversation now, early, and you talk with your person and say the truth of the matter is, I really want to serve the people. I really want to go for Christmas. But can we do this? Because some of you men will say, I don't want my people to eat bread. I don't want my people. So you who doesn't want your people to eat bread, can you come to the kitchen with me every day for the 2 weeks we are going to be home for Christmas? You need to find ways in which you make things a bit easier for your spouse. The Bible tells us that can two walk together unless they agree? So you need to agree and agree together and say, this is how we are going to meet each other halfway. And for you, you're the one that is going to present it, and you're going to say, you know what, mommy, we have arrived, but we have agreed On some days, let us have some bread. On some days, let us do this. My wife will not be able to go with you everywhere, but can she be able to rest some more? Go with flasks. Generally, in your agreement, find ways of making your life easier at Christmas time. I will do an episode where I will even bring you some gadgets that will help you know how to make your life easier. Don't be that man who says, we cannot take a blender to the village. Eh? How will people see when my wife uses a blender? So you who doesn't want her to use a blender, what do you want to use? Kale nokera kumacha, wake up early and make the juice. Na yo muntu alikola juice, they are using a kasengeja, they are using a sieve. Then they are on the firewood. Then remember, the entire year they have not been cooking on firewood. You cannot start saying, you who has been eating food cooked on a cooker and put in the microwave the whole year, you can't suddenly turn because you've seen your mother. You turn and you say, actually, I don't like food made in the. I actually don't eat that food. Find a way to meet your mate halfway. Like I said, if you know that your family hosts many people, maybe it is time for you to get someone nearby on the village, a young girl, and say you are giving her some bit of work just over the Christmas period. Part-time work. They don't have to help her the whole day, but you know, let that girl come in the morning while your wife is doing all these other katogan whatever, and then let her wash the dishes, and then let her do the big meal, the matoke, and go away. So that then your wife will do the beef, then she'll do the other thing together with everyone. You have to find a way of making work easier on yourselves over Christmas. A steamer. I sell steamers, and those are some of the useful things that I feel women need to go to the villages with. Because instead of even that muogo you're going to cook for people in the morning, instead of putting it in the indagala and then you are nashing, get a steamer, get a big one, wake up in the morning, put all that cassava and sprinkle the salt on it and be able to serve the people. A pressure cooker, for heaven's sake, guys, a pressure cooker, even the steamer, they don't have to be electrical. Because you're going to now say, in our village, there is no electricity. They don't have to be electrical. The ones I sell can be used on firewood and on charcoal. Get a pressure cooker so that the person is not cooking beans from 7 a.m. until midday. Okay, if the person is actually cooking those beans in a pressure cooker, even if they are on firewood, they will for only 1 hour. That is less costly on their emotions than doing that for 6 hours. So those of you who are feeling offended, find a place to talk to the other person. Those of you who are the offender, who have not been knowing that you are the offender, listen, listen, listen. Listen to yourself. Listen to your heart. Listen to your spouse. Even the children. Because some of the children get exasperated. They go home over Christmas. Suddenly they don't have where to sleep. Suddenly they have to share a bed with the other person. It is a good thing, but can you prepare the children ahead of time? There are children who have been molested over these Christmas escapades. There are children whose cousins have defiled them over these visits over Christmas. Have time to prepare each other. So apart from speaking and agreeing, also prepare each other. Prepare each other. Tell your wife that my mom, she really likes her tea with mujaja. Please, when you go, let us, just for the sake of peace, because the Bible says that as long as it depends on you, live at peace with all men. I keep telling women that think about the end. You're not going to spend the whole year there. It is going to pass. It is just 2 weeks. I've talked to the men about making it easier on you, but it is 2 weeks. It is just 2 weeks. So think about the end. And if the mother wants to take tea with mujaja, let us do it for these 2 weeks and get out of here in one piece. But then the person who knows your mother very well, be able to explain to your spouse and say, this is how mommy likes it. But because I also know you can't take it this far, when mommy tries to take it this far, I will respectfully talk to her. So there is a place, men, where in the dead of the night, after everything has been said and done, you sit down with your mom or you sit down with your father and say, you know what, people, it has been a beautiful day, but I think Eunice is a bit tired. I am begging that tomorrow she will not be expected in the kitchen, but we've also together made the following arrangements. They are going to talk and say whatever, but you need to preserve your marriage so that you are not quarreling the rest of the year because of what happened over Christmas. Now, there are certain things I usually tell women. Choose what to do, but choose it peaceably and choose it with the end goal in mind. The end goal is to live at peace with these people. That is the end goal. So when you're choosing, the type of language you use when you're choosing, the attitude you display in your choice is going to either bring peace or not. There is no reason why you should roll your eyes. There is no reason why you should give your husband an ultimatum. Whatever. Speak respectfully. That's why I'm saying have a conversation of preparation for this journey. And then say, you know what, baby, I am going to do the breakfast very well. I am going to do the lunch very well. But I think we need to find someone to do this evening tea so that after lunch I can nap, so that I rejuvenate and I get to be able to serve in the evening. But also there are family bullies. I know men, they all come with their wives. But for them, they protect their wives and then they keep on sending the other person's wife. Those are things you also need to talk about and say, you know what, babe, I'm going to serve you and I'm going to serve mommy and I'm going to serve everything else. But when it comes to boiling water for showering, if I have to do it, I will do it only for you. And even if you're the last born in the family, do not start asking me to boil water for all your big brothers. Talk about it well, and even you as a man, there is a place where you respectfully tell your older brother, please tell your wife to also stand up and go to the kitchen. Because there are families where they have decided, for them, they are seated with their wives. The wives have their nails well done and they are swinging their feet. And then they've left one individual in the kitchen. And even you as a man, you're not calling this thing to order. You need to start raising points of order in the villages over Christmas in order for you to protect your families. Now, there is then this thing of prayer. You need to pray for yourself for patience. You need to pray for yourself for perseverance. You need to pray for yourself for understanding. Because sometimes what they are requiring of you, by the way, is not much. That is true. Sometimes it's not much. But because you have seen things like what I saw when I was growing up, and because the other Christmases went a certain way, you have gone armed, you already have your daggers. So you do not give reason. You do not want to hear. You don't want to know. It is a good thing for you to pray for yourself for understanding. Pray that the peace of God will rule your heart and mind. Sometimes the peace of God has ruled your heart but not your mind. And because of that, you're finding fault with everyone. Granted, most of us think that our families were better than the other families. Most of us. So you're always looking at your husband's family through the lens of pride, thinking my mother wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have cut the goat like that. That chicken was cut badly. You're always thinking like that. But you need to also calm down. You need to realize that sometimes you need to deal with people in understanding. And then you need to pray for courage, both for yourself and for your husband to stand your ground, because you're going to make certain decisions, you're going to make certain agreements, and you need the courage to stand your ground. What am I saying in closing? Men, protect your wives and protect them by knowledge. What do I mean? Sit down with them and find out how it has always been, and then ask, how can I meet you halfway? And even when you're in the village, every day when you're praying, pray for your wife daily for new strength. When you're praying, pray for each other daily for understanding. But come also, secondly, men, find a way to make it better for your wife. Muno mugonze semu. Tomufumbis as if she's a catering arm. Nafumba, nana zabad. You've been here in Kampala, you change diapers. When you finally reach the village, you all see it. Because you think that the only way people will think you're a man is if you don't change diapers. Don't pretend. Then when you come back to Kampala, stop changing them, because that's your true nature. Learn to make it easier on your wife. People are going to talk about you and they'll say, oh, you're with their wife. That is what they say about Brand and I. They say, Brand and his wife, don't talk about his wife. But it has helped us to keep harmony in this relationship. Now you who has been offended, or who is the marginalized, or who is the muchala. First of all, before I talk to the muchala, I've told you husbands, into no muchala, yachala. Therefore, you who knows your people, help her She doesn't know your people. She doesn't know your village. She doesn't know their appetites. Even if she has been there for 50 years, she will never know them as much as you who grew up with them. But kati gwe omukyala, be a good visitor. Don't go looking down on people. Look at them with understanding. Look at the end in mind. It is going to pass. Express your needs before you go. Express your needs. And I hope that the person you're expressing to the needs will be kind enough to say, okay, in my village, they are going to expect you to be dressing in long stuff. Do not go with your trousers, but let's buy some beautiful, you know, whatever, those beautiful clothing that are long and beautiful, so that you don't feel like suddenly we are in sackcloth because we went to the village. And then tell her, okay, we will get someone to meet us halfway. Okay, on Christmas Day, there is a restaurant there and in the village. On that day alone, tuja kugenda tujeyo chapati. You know, something like that. Okay, we will cook food for people, but after 9, when we put tea in the flasks, after that tea is complete, we shall have juice. Okay, we are able to take a blender because there is electricity in the village. Let us have a blender. Okay, we are going to get the other girl from the trading center to come and help you. Find a way to help each other, because two are not going to enjoy Christmas unless they agree. I hope that this is helpful for you as you go home for Christmas, and I wish you a Merry, Merry Christmas and a beautiful year. Bye-bye.